Hey everybody, it's Ken Davenport. Tonight we are literally getting the boy band back together. It's the Altar Boys reunion on this very special Producer's Perspective Live. We've got the original cast: Scott Porter, Andy Carl, Ryan Duncan, Tyler Maynard, David Josephsberg, Daniel Torres, Kevin Kern, and the entire original creative team. And our host for the evening is not me, a self-proclaimed altarholic herself, the incredible Miss Susan Blackwell. So you ready? You ready, everybody? Cue the fog girl. Let's bring on the boys.
What do y'all say we get this party started?
Yeah!
We are the Altar Boys. You know we're coming to your town. We are the Altar Boys. We're gonna knock the devil down. We are the Altar Boys. We're going to sing for you today. We are the Altar Boys. We always kneel when we pray. We are the Altar Boys. We think that church is super fine. We are the Altar Boys. We love the wafers and wine. We are the Altar Boys. And I think you'll find we're gonna alter your mind.
Yes, I say yes to all of it. Hello, my friends, my fellow altarholics. My name is Susan Blackwell. I cannot tell you how happy I am to be with you tonight. I am 100% sober. I'm just giddy to be here with you. Tonight, we are going to raise some money for the Actors Fund, and we're going to celebrate one of my favorite shows of all time, Altar Boys. Maybe you saw it in 2004 at NYMF. Maybe, like me, you saw it thrice in 2005. Thrice, I say. What do I love about Altar Boys, you might ask? What's not to love? But I'm actually very curious. What do you love about Altar Boys? Would you please throw it in the chat? And while I wait for that, I'm going to tell you, seriously, what do I love about Altar Boys? It makes my booty bounce. That music makes my booty bounce. It makes me laugh. There are moments that still, when I replay them in my mind, they still make me laugh freshly. When Tyler Maynard is all, put it, that still makes me laugh to this day. There's some crispy Christopher Gattelli choreography in that show. There's this one, I was looking back at some of the B-roll. There's this dance move that is, it's just like, it's fantastic. When I first saw it, I was just like, this is so fresh. This is so fun. Great jokes, really fun writing, all of it. But I'm curious, what do y'all love? Every song is a bop. Brianna Rose Booth, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I agree with you. I completely concur. Every song is a bop. Yes, Jamie Feinberg, love the right and tight harmonies and the ridiculousness done with such genuineness. I couldn't agree more. I'm so happy. Heather says, I definitely saw Kevin Kern go on at least 20 times. Heather went into credit card debt for Heather's love of Altar Boys and apparently Kevin Kern. Good job, Heather. I hope you've worked that out by now. I love this. I love this. Lisa O says the songs, the dances, the heart, and Juan. Juan makes Lisa O's heart go pitty pat. I love it. We'll be hearing more from you as the show goes on. We, as I said, we're here tonight raising some money for our friends at the Actors Fund. And I just want to remind you, in case you've never heard this before, hear it again. The Actors Fund isn't just for actors. They offer resources and assistance to anyone working in the entertainment industry. And if you visit actorsfund.org/altarboys with a Z, you can make a donation to this awesome cause, especially now when so many folks in the entertainment industry need that support. But back to the Altar Boys. We've got some good surprises coming up for you later in the program, especially one really juicy one. So stay with us. And I think it's time to dig in. So without any further ado, I am so happy and so excited to welcome the great minds behind Altar Boys. Wherever you are, if you're watching this alone in your house, or maybe like your partner is sitting next to you, maybe you have headphones on, just give them some love. Like scare your spouse, scare the cat, just give them some love wherever you are. Let's bring them on. I'm so excited to introduce to you Ken Davenport, who you already know, Gary Adler, Michael Patrick Walker, Kevin DeLagula, Mark Kessler. Look at these faces. Look at these friends. Hi. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Susan.
Hello. Hi, Susan.
When's the
Peace
last
be
time
with
you
you,
all
Susan.
but then also with you? When is the last time you all were in a room, a virtual room, any gathering
Oh
together?
God, when was the last fight we had? Oh, I'm kidding.
That's right.
I'm kidding.
About
We'll
5 minutes
be in
ago.
touch. I would
I
love
don't
to just
know.
start. I'd love to start just by, it's been so long we can't remember. I'm glad that we have this occasion to bring you all together. And I just want to go round robin in this order: Ken, Gary, Michael, Kevin, then Mark. I would love a little Altar Boys, what I'm going to call a little game I'm going to call Altar Boys Heaven and Hell. And I would love for you to tell me the most challenging thing about making the Altar Boys from your perspective, and like the most heavenly thing about making Altar Boys from your perspective. And we're going to start with baby Ken Davenport.
God, why do I have to go first?
Because
I'll tell you the most difficult thing actually was from the producer perspective, if you will, was convincing everyone how
I like you get that branding in there. Good
Yeah,
job.
exactly.
Good job.
how
Go ahead, sorry.
everybody is trying to convince everybody how funny the show was because of its title, frankly. Because we had this real title problem, and we at one point very early we were like, what else are we going to call it? I think Robin Goodman, who was on later, was leading that charge, and I think she was probably right. Because word of mouth is what sells tickets, and people would be like, especially in 2005, I just saw a great show. It's super funny. It's called Altar Boys, and people would be like, what? So from my seat, that was the hardest thing. The
Interesting.
sweetest thing, the most heaven, was not the first one, the second rave in the New York Times that we got. It is so rare for the New York Times to come back to any show, and nowadays it's so rare for them to come to an off-Broadway show, period, that Jason Zinnemann came back and he raved, and they gave him the paper space at that time to say how much he loved the show. And that actual review, because a year later, is what put us over the top and
Do you remember a tasty poll quote from one of those reviews? You got just a tasty poll quote right at the tip of your tongue?
And with that, I'll pass it over to Gary Adler.
Because one thinks of me when one thinks of a tasty pull quote.
Exactly.
I would say that the trickiest thing about Altar Boys, from my perspective, was making sure that we were creating a show that wasn't just a gimmicky show, but a show that had substance to it. And I think my collaborators and our director really helped pull what could have been a forgotten silly little skit into a full 90 minutes of entertainment. And then my favorite moment was the very first time we ever saw Chris Gattelli's choreography.
Oh,
Sitting in a
that's
tiny,
one of my favorite moments too. That
sitting
was,
in a tiny rehearsal studio. The boys had been working for 2 weeks, was it? Solidly, without us seeing really anything they were doing, and then we suddenly see a run through with those steps for the very first time. That was my favorite moment, I think.
that is amazing. That must have just been like drinking fizzy lifting drinks and just being like, "Ugh," just amazing. And I was remiss earlier. I should say, would each of you also say what role you played? Like, what was your creative input to the show? So, Ken, we know, producer. Gary, what was your creative input?
One of the composers / lyricists.
Awesome. And beautifully done, Heaven and Hell. That was very, very well done. And who's up next? It's Michael Patrick Walker.
Yeah.
Michael, tell our friends at home, what was your creative contribution to the show, and share your Heaven and Hell with us.
So I am the other composer / lyricist. Together, Gary and I are the slashes. and I also just want to take a moment before I give Heaven and Hell to appreciate that the show is old enough that the definition level of B-roll footage has improved since we actually shot it. Like I looked at it and went, my TV's better than that now. It's amazing. My Heaven and Hell moment. I think it's the Heaven is a little bit of Gary's hell. Interestingly enough, is that like just the getting it right, like the time, the hours and hours we spent in my Midtown apartment, just sort of like banging heads against walls, trying to figure it out. That's frustrating, but also a lot of fun. And finally getting it was not too bad. My hell is that frickin' squeaky cart, which was also my Heaven moment because I love that moment. That was absolutely Heaven, the squeaky cart with Tyler. But that was a practical effect for the first 2.5 years, I think, that worked super well until the reviewers left, which if you got a ticket, that's when you want to. And then, man, that thing wouldn't squeak for 2 weeks straight. And then it would squeak. It's the little things you remember, really, Susan. That's
that damn cart. It is. Isn't that funny that like you'll be rocking on a rocking chair in the old folks' home and you may be half senile, but you'll be like, that damn cart.
Why didn't it squeak when my parents were there? It's that thing, yeah.
I love that. Kevin DeLagula, I'm so happy to see your face.
Good to see you as well, Susan.
Would you please tell us what your creative contribution was and share your Altar Boys Heaven and Hell with us?
Yes, I was the book writer, the librettist, if you will, of Altar Boys.
Yes.
My hell was really what was kind of like foisted upon me, was this job to kind of create an evening of theater out of a boy band concert, which was felt like an impossible task often, because you couldn't have private scenes, you couldn't get a lot of information out there. I think when I came on board the project, everyone was like, don't do it, don't do it. That way lies madness, don't try it, we've tried. But I'm really glad that we stuck with it, because it really paid off. And my Heaven is just like Gary's, like when every department came together and we suddenly saw it, like I literally became a boy band fan of this boy band. Like you couldn't help but like look around and go like, I'm just happy to be in this room with them. Like it was really magical. It was great. Very exciting.
I'm with you, Kevin. I am so with you. I became a legit fan of this band. So I feel you. I feel you deeply. Mark.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
It's so nice to see you. Will you tell us what your creative contribution was and what your Altar Boys little slice of Heaven and Hell was?
I will. I came up with the original idea, the conceiver of the big show. And actually, when I was an actor working at Goodspeed Opera House, I was on my way to the gym with a Matthew, I'm a Mark, and there was a Ron in the car. And we were all singing Backstreet Boys' newest hit, I Want It That Way, in the car on the way to the gym. Yes, it's true. And the idea kind of sprung from there. We were laughing like, oh, God, it's like, the Gospels, and we're singing the boy band stuff. And so the idea kind of sprung from there. And that kind of leads to my hell, because here's my hell. I was an actor, and I thought, oh, I'll create this show, and I'll be in it. Nobody told me it takes 10 years for musicals to actually come together, and I would have gray hair and I'd be balding by the time the show finally opened off Broadway. So, that would have been a nice heads up, possibly. So that was my hell, but it led to my Heaven, which is Ken and I did summer stock at Main State Music Theater ages and ages ago, and I took the idea to him, and he knew how to do stuff and make things happen. So he pulled it all together and got in all these other fantastic collaborators and other producers and put the cast together. So my Heaven really is that something that I started with a really good friend of mine, and it still continues to this day. Mm-hmm. And I see YouTube footage of some random performance of David Josephsberg spitting on his chin and like trying to get it all, you're like, wow, people really dug in and have loved this show in various ways. So from an idea in a car with some fellow actors to something that continues to live, and I get mailbox money. I don't do anything, and I get money.
A little
Thank
slice
you.
of heaven right
Manna
there.
from
Not right
heaven.
about now. Nothing's coming in right now.
Susan, that's my heaven. Thank you very much.
I love it so much. And we have some people sharing their comments. Angela Pasqualini, I hope I'm saying your Pasquinelli, pardon me. I love that the concept for the show came from a real life experience. LOL. But so I think so many of the best ideas do is, but like you said, they don't warn you. It's like, it's such a hoot. It's such a gas when you're in the car on the way back from the gym. And then it's going to take you like a good 7 to 10 years. But you know what? You created so much pleasure. In addition to the pleasure and the challenges that you may have had creating it, you created so much pleasure for other people. And I just want to throw up a comment from my friend Ann Weisslich-Ravenes, who says, I met one of my current best friends, altar boy Danny Calvert, because of this show. And I just think it's one example. First of all, hi, Ann, but it's just one example of how a show like this really can bring people together. And so I know tonight we're going to laugh a lot and hopefully, have a good time. But I also just want to say sincerely to you, because I've never had a chance to look at some of you in the virtual eyes and say, I am so thankful that you made this work. And I'm so, I don't know, it's brought me so much joy and it's brought me so much pleasure. And I feel so fortunate that I get a chance to tell you that to your stinking faces. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's so my pleasure. So I'm curious. So you're in the gym car, you're laughing, you're joking, boy bands, ha 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 ha. And then how does this progress? How does this snowball keep rolling down the hill after that?
Me, Ken?
How does this band of people come together?
Well, that's what I love about what you just said, Susan, is, and the cool thing about, I think, how so many shows come together. Really, Mark came to me and said Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Juan, and I laughed, and I was like, we had been talking about doing shows together, like trying to come up with something. We had done Forever Plaid as actors a few times, and so we were like, we got to come up with something like that. So we, and I really, to be honest, as I said recently, I didn't know what to do next. This was like my first show that I had produced. So I was like, I don't know what to do. So when you don't know what to do, you look to the people around you. And the first person we thought we would, originally the idea was to boy band up the Catholic anthology of music, like to take something from the Missalettes and just funk it up. And I had just done the national tour as a company manager of Jekyll and Hyde with Gary Adler. And I remember Gary Adler making me laugh in tech. In the most stressful, tense time of tech, he played something from The Pit, the theme to what was on the television in all of our hotel rooms, actually. And I laughed, and that I never forgot that. So when I said, I need someone to do something funny with music, I called Gary. And I will now pass the baton to Gary, and he will tell us the first thing he did for us and then where his divine inspiration came.
So yes, this old story.
Yes.
This old chestnut.
Yeah. So Ken asked me to meet with him and Mark, and we met in the Starbucks on 47th and 8th, which is 47th and 9th, which is one of the few Starbucks that's no longer there. And they asked me to do some arrangements for some Catholic hymns and describe the concept of the show. And so I wrote a few arrangements, some Hail Mary thingamabob, and I took the arrangement over to Ken's apartment, and he got a few guys together and they sang through it, and everybody thought that it was really funny. But I thought to myself, it's funny only up to a point. And the problem with Catholic hymns in general is that they're just not funny. So my niece happened to be at the time a huge fan of Christian pop. And I made her send me a mixtape, actually on cassette, of her favorite Christian pop bands. And one of them was a group called DC Talk. And there was a song on this tape called Jesus Freak. And I'm going to quote it exactly now. The song sounds like if you took the chords from Smells Like Teen Spirit and turned them upside down. That's what the vibe of the song is. Okay. And this lyric in this song said, people say I'm strange. Does it make me a stranger that my best friend was born in a manger? And I thought that's kind of funny because they're totally
Hot rhymes.
serious.
Yes.
They're totally sincere about it. And they created this funky song that has this really awkward rhyming stranger with manger. And I thought that's kind of my
That's
gateway.
a quality rhyme. What?
Yeah.
That's a quality rhyme.
It's my gateway drug to get me into writing original songs. So I came up with an early draft of the opening number, which had Please Us rhyming with Jesus and Tribal rhyming with Gideon's Bible. And that was it. It was just a little word game. And
It
then
practically writes itself. Yes.
and then it was decided that it should be a show with original songs as opposed to just arrangements. And that's when I got Michael Patrick Walker involved because he was also on the Jekyll tour with me. And I remember on our final flight home from Houston, I believe, he was writing a song on the plane. And we just talked about his songwriting a little bit. And there he is.
And by the way, I am almost finished with that song. So soon I'm going to debut it on my YouTube channel, I promise. Yeah, no, if I recall correctly, and this is not a negative thing, I remember you going like, yeah, I played the song for them and now it's going to be an original score. And that kind of wasn't what you thought was going to happen. And all of a sudden it was like, now there's a whole score for a musical that we need to write.
Right.
Despite Susan's confidence, did not write itself. So it was a little, so you brought me in and away we went. For a while, just literally, I remember sitting in Gary's old apartment up on the Upper West Side, like literally going, what if, and like coming up with song ideas with, which works for a little while, but a show does not make from that. So we eventually had to move beyond that. But for a while, that was a really fun game to play.
Yeah.
I love that.
And our
then
sensibilities are different enough that if something inspired me, he wasn't really interested, or if I wasn't interested, he was excited about it. So
Yeah.
I felt we kind of balanced each other out pretty well.
Yeah,
And
we're
then,
like
Kevin,
musical
you
wingmen.
You slid in and you were like, and I will shape this into a book
Yes,
musical.
I met Ken. He came to see a play that I wrote that was in the Fringe Festival, and he was like, "Hey, I like your play. I'll help you produce it off Broadway." And I was like, "Great!" And he never did that. Thanks,
Yeah,
Ken.
well,
I've got time. I've got some time.
yeah. There's a
It's on
lot
my
of
list.
available theaters right now. So
Right here.
But he did say, "I've got this this project called ALTAR BOYZ. I think you might have the right sensibility for it. Why don't you meet with the guys about it? I'll send you kind of an idea behind it." And so I met with them. We met at the Edison Diner, I remember. I spoke with them. I pitched them my ideas, and then they said, "No, thank you." And
They said, "Get out of this diner."
they said, "Get out,
"How
never
dare
return."
you, sir?"
And then a year later, Ken contacted me again. He was like, "Hey, we're still trying to get this ALTAR BOYZ thing going. You got any interest in pitching again?" And I said, "Well, okay, let's see what you've got going there." And anyway, this time I met with Gary and Michael, and they played me a million funny songs about Jesus and God, and I mean, just every conceivable song you can imagine. And we just worked to kind of, pick out the gems and just figure out how to make like a story out of this, and what it had to be done with a very light touch, very character driven. But how do you turn this concert into a show? And so that was really the main thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just so thankful to be one of the beneficiaries of this awesome work. And it is such a pleasure to get to look at your virtual faces and thank you. So we are going to move this group of friends and we're going to push you backstage, but we hope that you'll stick around and jump into the chat. And so if you want to give anybody who appears after you some good, healthy ribbing, you can do it from the chat. And I'll just throw that right up into the lower third. So, stick around. But again, thank you so much for all the joy that you've brought us. And we'll hear from you in a moment in the chat.
Thanks, Susan.
Thanks,
Bye,
Susan.
friends.
Bye, everyone.
Oh my gosh. I can't even tell you. Remember, tonight, friends, it's not just a celebration of Altar Boys. It's also a chance to support the Actors Fund. And the Actors Fund serves all professionals in the entertainment industry, not just actors. It's film, it's theater, it's television, it's music, it's opera, it's radio, it's dance, through programs that address the community's unique and essential needs. And some of their services and programs include financial assistance, the Career Center, health insurance, housing, senior care, and you can go to actorsfund.org/altarboys to support their awesomeness. And I want to tell you, we have got an excellent surprise coming up for you later in the program, so I hope you'll stay with us. Before I throw it to this next group, I just want to throw this up on the screen. Mimi Walsh says, what a great ending to a great day. Today is my birthday. Happy birthday, Mimi Walsh. So thankful for the reunion and would like to donate $350 to the Actors Fund. That's what I'm talking about. Happy birthday, Mimi Walsh. Thank you for that donation. And now, I am so happy to introduce more friends who brought Altar Boys to life. I'm telling you, it takes a village, people. Would you please welcome Robin Goodman, Stafford Arima, Christopher Gattelli, and Lynn Shankle. Ah, be still my heart. Hello, my friends. I'm so happy to see you.
Hi,
How's
friends.
everybody doing?
Hello.
Everything that I said before, if you were listening in backstage, it goes for you people as well. You have brought so many of us so much joy, so much happiness, so much booty bouncing, so many good laughs. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And some of you, I'm happy to see you. And some of you, I'm happy to meet you. So welcome. Again, in that order, Robin, then Stafford, then Chris, then Lynn. What's your Altar Boys heaven and hell? What was the most challenging part about bringing this work to life? And what was the most heavenly part about bringing this work to life? What do you think, Robin Goodman?
Well, I hope you can hear me because I'm upstate New York. Can you hear me?
You sound great.
I'm upstate New York, and it's
You look great too.
Oh, good. Okay.
Not to objectify you, but you look great.
I love it. I would say the most challenging thing was finding Kevin. Of course, everything they said before us was total lies. Okay. I just want to say that. No, I'm kidding. But finding a story, and Stafford will corroborate this, was the hell that we faced. And I remember Stafford and Kevin and the composers, Gary and Michael, were going into a room, and we said, this is your last chance. Kevin's the third book writer, and you cannot add another character. It's just about the boys, and something has to break them up and then bring them back together again. Go! And Stafford said, okay. I thought, God bless him. And so they came back with the story, which was so wonderful. But it was scary because I thought this fantastic music will never find a story as good as the music. And of course it did with Kevin. He just did a beautiful job. And my heaven was seeing it at the workshop. I didn't know Stafford. I didn't know anybody. I knew Chris Gattelli, but I didn't really know any of the composers and actors. And I fell in love with the music, and that was never changed. I mean, it was just divine. And I learned to understand what makes Stafford as brilliant as he is. So I pass it to you, pal.
Awesome. Stafford, Stafford, have we ever met in real life? IRL, as the
I don't
kids say?
think in real life we've ever met.
I don't think we have. And I've been waiting for this moment for years to tell you to your face how much I love your work. I'm so happy that I get to say that to you, like before I croak. I'm so thrilled. Big fan.
You're very, very kind, Susan. And the same back to you, how much I know everyone on this Zoom admires your artistry and everything that you've contributed to, this great art form that we're all talking about. Heaven and hell. Well, I guess my hell, we'll do the negative first, was, I'm listening to everyone else and I'm trying to think of what was a hellish moment. I think the hellish moment was when we finally got to New World Stages, and it was our first or second preview. And, we started the show, and We did We Are the Altar Boys, moved into Rhythm and Me, and no one was laughing. And we had come out of a great success from The Nymph, and
Yes.
not thinking it was hubris, but we felt confident going into our process for Off-Broadway. But the audiences were not grasping, weren't getting it. I remember we thought it was the sound, was it the lighting, was it the diction, was it the choreography, was it all of that, was it some of it, you know? And so that was the difficult moment because, you know, when you think you have something that's working and then it doesn't, then,
Could
you know.
deduce, like, what did you finally arrive at? Could you figure out, because clearly that shifted. Could you ever figure out what that was?
We figured it out when I remember one of my old mentors, is no longer with us, Harold Prince. He told me when I was very young that one of the most important things to do at the first 5 minutes of the show was to give permission to the audience, and in this case, to laugh.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just thought, oh, this show is funny. The lyrics are funny. Everything is funny. The choreography is brilliant. It's funny. And people loved it at the Nymph. But we didn't really tell them that for the Off-Broadway production. Thus, the Fog Girl was born.
Girl.
Yes, the Fog Girl, who was our stage manager, Lori Silipino, was this incredible woman who had, you know, kind of, she was a stage manager from hell, but she brought everyone together and made it work. And we incorporated her into the opening with this Fog Girl moment. The audience burst out in laughter, and then the rest is history. So that was a hell moment. And the heaven moment really was, I think, just meeting all of these wonderful people, you know, looking at where we are today. And so much has traversed between that first opening and that we're all still here and we're thriving as human beings and as artists. That's the heaven for me, really.
I love that, Stafford. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so fascinating. And somebody just put in the chat, is this true?
Stafford,
Robin was the Fog Girl for our last performance, says Kevin DeLagula. Truth or false?
The Fog Girl was our comedy tonight, I think.
That's right. It was comedy tonight. It was giving the audience permission to laugh.
That's true.
I love that quote.
Yes,
this is the poll quote
tonight.
of the evening. The Fog Girl was our comedy
100%.
tonight. Print that on a t-shirt, everybody. That is good stuff. I love knowing the way those things are born. It's so great. Chris Gattelli, I'm so happy to see your face.
Hi, Miss Blackwell.
I love that. Yes, like I'm a school marm. I love it. Altar Boys, Heaven and Hell, Chris Gattelli.
The hell was trying to come up with a new idea for each number in the creation of it to match the work was so great that it was trying to do the math of how to keep each number like different and
distinct,
keep it varied,
inventive.
keep it
Yes.
their own individual, and also doing it in a way that the boys could perform it live for nonstop 90 minutes. I mean, they will never stop getting my endless praise. Every boy who has ever done the show, I mean, it's what they
I feel like they were all, I remember Tyler Maynard saying, I'm down to my birth weight. Like everybody was just lean and mean doing that show. Yes.
They worked their booties off. So that was kind of the hell, because it was, you know, to figure that out. But the heaven was the result, and the like having this family come from that, and you know, getting through all of that together the way we did, and like Stafford said, and that we're all still here, and we all still keep in touch, and it was genuinely a family, and it still is. So that was the heaven for sure.
Oh, come on. Lynn Schenkel, I'm so happy to see you.
You too, Susan. Hi.
Heaven and Hell, Lynn Schenkel.
Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
I think that they're actually weirdly the same, because I think it is keeping the boys together. Like, it was like pulling teeth at times, and I wanted to smack them sometimes, but
Ooh,
Well,
this is getting very real. This reunion is getting very real. Yes.
But then they'd be fabulous. And, you know, I mean, look at those 5 original boys. You know what was actually the coolest thing is that with the original boys, so many people asked me after the show if the vocals were pre-recorded. And I said, no, nothing is pre-recorded. And I remember I used to tell them, they used to say when we were rehearsing, I'm seeing stars. I can't. I said, that's when you're doing it right. When you're seeing stars and you're almost passing out, then that's just about enough. It's going to be good.
So if you're a young person interested in getting into show business, remember, when you're seeing stars, you're almost doing it right.
Yeah, it's almost
Wise words,
right.
Lynn Schenkel. That is amazing. But I guess you're right. That music, those harmonies are so tight. Well, frankly, the music and the dancing have to be so precise. It really is a testament to that off-Broadway cast, just tight and tight, really consistent, really strong. Now, you were all up in their business every night, so I'm sure that you saw all of those like finer distinctions, but I was always so knocked out by the precision of it all and the birth weight of it all. I mean, they were really working their asses off. Friends, you have sparked so much joy in so many of us. We are going to go ahead and move you backstage, but please, if you want, you can throw some shade from the chat, and I will put it on the lower third. But thank you so much for being here and sharing these stories. It's so fun to hear these stories that I've never heard before. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Look at those crazy kids.
Thank you.
So great. And now, without further ado, I'm going to welcome some of your favorite OGABs. Yes. One at a blessed time. Altar Boys, when you enter, please state your real name. Please state your, I feel like we should have a timpani rolling here. Please state your Altar Boys alter ego. And I would like to hear your favorite lyric or dance move or joke from Altar Boys. Would you please welcome Andy Carl? Andy Carl, please take the ice. Andy Carl!
What's up? It's Andy Carl. I played Luke. I gave myself the last name. Here we are. I gave myself the last name Skywalker. Luke Skywalker. And
when you wrote your extensive character study?
We did. Stafford made us sort of like, sit down and really map it all out.
Yes,
I don't know. There's so many favorite moments from that show. Mine was just like in the middle of my song, I would say "Sell Bidness," and that was my favorite. Like "Sell Bidness" while I was standing on my neck, which I would turn to dust now if I tried to do.
But this is what youth is about.
Yeah.
You were sort of like the Wahlberg of the group. I always thought
Sure.
of it. And I have to say, I think this is the first Andy Carl. I'm having a recovered memory in this moment. This is, I believe, the first thing I ever saw you do. It is some trippy shit. And then I was at an audition at Beth Melsky Casting, and we were just crammed in there like little sardines like you do. And I remember you didn't know me, and I was like, tink, tink, tink on your shoulder, and I was like, hey, you don't know me? My name is Susan, and I'm a big Altar Boys fan. And you were like, okay, crazy.
No, you know what? It's that was really like a little leverage point for a few of us in that show. Jerry Mitchell saw me in Altar Boys, and that's when he got the idea to put me in Legally Blonde. It was like he got to see, there's a guy who will stand on his head, and I know, still got it. Still got it.
You still got it, kid. I'm so happy you're here, and I'm so happy to bring on this next Altar Boy. Would you please welcome to the stream, David Josephsberg. David, show your face.
Show dog.
What's up? David Josephsberg, Abraham. He's Jewish. Be very careful. Be very careful.
She's confused.
I'm not sure what was that. Like a shoehorn that you
a shoehorn, a whiffer that to get ready for the. Or let's just start right away.
Let's just get into it.
Get in.
So,
did you have an adult drink before this reunion started?
No, I don't drink anymore. So this is a whiffer that everyone signed that before the show to get each other going, we would smack each other with because we were young and needed some energy.
Are you kidding me? Is that a true story?
That's a true story.
What was happening backstage at Ye Olde Dodger Stages?
You don't want to know.
And David, was there look at you, baby Abraham? Was there a favorite lyric, a favorite dance move, a favorite joke that you still like? You wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and go, huh?
I mean, so many, but can I give you 2 little quick ones?
Give me two minis.
Every dance move, of course, because that was my favorite part. I would
Did you
say
love it, David?
I did love it. Once I learned it, I loved it.
I feel you.
And he marked it.
Shade being thrown at the Altar Boys reunion.
Oh, come on, you can't touch me.
Lynn Schenkel says, yes, the paddle.
Yes, it's a whiffer. It's not called a paddle, Lynn.
It looks more like a shoehorn, but you say tomato.
Shoehorn.
I say
the whiffer. There we go, Lily.
There we go, Lily.
So the music before I Believe, just the when Abraham is sitting there and the music just right before I Believe. So that's a real soft, beautiful moment. And then also demons will peel your skin off each day. That's also one of my
Demons will peel your skin off each day.
Yeah.
Stitch it on a pillow.
You know what?
Sell it in the lobby. I love it. I love it. I'm so happy you're here. And now I'm so happy to welcome to this broadcast. Is that what we call it? This reunion? Somebody I've known since we were both literally children. I love him deeply from the bottom of my heart. Would you please welcome Tyler Maynard? Tyler.
Mr.
Yes.
Maynard.
Give me the original choreo. Tyler.
Trying to remember it. Hi.
Hi,
boys. Hi, you look beautiful. I miss you, boys.
You too.
I couldn't get the lighting right. Is this better or worse?
Oh.
No.
I picked outside, and the
Very nice.
mosquitoes are driving me crazy.
You look great. You're giving us original choreo. Tyler, who did you play? And could you share a moment that still haunts your dreams in the best possible way?
The number that was almost at the end of the show, Mark's big number, I would always take a moment off stage to apply the lip gloss and try to dry my drenched hair. And then we figured that wouldn't work. So I put on my cap at that moment and then just sort of getting myself up the energy to just do that moment. And the pressure of getting the cart right, because it was a delicate art of the pressure and they had to leave the cart outside to get rusty. And you had to push it just right and pull it just right to get the sound. And then I got it just right and I would do it all the way down the hallway. It would be like 5 minutes of it and I'd get in trouble every time, but I'd have one more squeak.
The stage manager has notes for you, Tyler.
Reel me in every 6 months.
I know that sometimes like we have to be reeled in, but good damn, that was a funny bit.
It was good.
I'm here for it. I'm all these years later, I'm still here for it. And I'm here for all of you. And I'm also here for our next guest. Come on. Come right on. And would you please welcome Ryan Duncan. Ryan.
Hey, demons will peel your skin off each day. I did that with you. I did that with you.
I did too.
Guys. Oh my God.
Ryan, who'd you play? And give us a taste of what haunts your dreams in the best possible Altar Boys way.
Yeah. I'm Ryan Duncan. I played Juan de la Cruz because we made up last names, remember?
Yes.
At one point.
Character studies, everybody. Yes.
Why am I throwing it upside down? West Coast gang sign. I don't know. I still have that shirt. I loved Confession Session, where we would take confessions from the audience. Because in the Nymph, it was an improv moment, and there would be several before the show to make something up about. And I think one of the things I ended up in the show about donkey and ass and all that stuff. But I loved doing confession session. Joe Berg's like, oh, I have kids. Oh,
confession session.
Confess. Confess. I loved also the smear of lip gloss on the stage right backstage wall of the set. That always reminded me, like, oh, we're in this part of the show. That Tyler one night decided I have too much. And it was like,
I would apply and then kiss the wall to just get it, perfect enough.
Right.
How long were you in that show, Tyler? How much lip gloss was like built up on that set?
Enough.
A fair amount.
Enough. There
yes. That's the Luke.
That's
There's
a
the
man.
Luke. Love it.
Yeah,
and now,
that's right.
friends, you know him. You love him. You can't get enough of him. Would you please welcome Scott Porter? Scott, show yourself. No. Scott says no. Computer says no. No? Okay.
No.
All right.
We'll just tell stories about him.
Okay. He might have bounced out. Maybe he'll come back. Who knows? We could all just do our best Scott Porter imitation. Or we could welcome to the stream Kevin Kern. Kevin, show yourself. Kevin,
do this right here. I mean, like
Heaven. What's your heaven? What's your heaven, Kevin?
What's up, guys?
Kevin, who'd you play? And what's your little slice of Altar Boys heaven?
I mean, I was one of the original swings with Daniel Torres. We both ended up playing, I think, all 5 roles at some point. And I have to say that some of my favorite lyrics, nothing against the amazing songwriters of this show, but we always said that if we could have sold tickets to the rehearsal process of this, we could have made $1 million. So some of my favorite lyrics are the songs that we made up during tech, some to do with like golden apples, some to, things like that. So fantasy, reality, make believe, etc. Yes.
Is there anything that's safe for consumption?
Not really.
One of those?
No.
Okay,
Not really,
great.
Susan.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But honestly, like what that says is that watching these guys, and as a swing, I have to say, like being able to steal all of the stuff that they put out there on a silver platter for you was the greatest gift of any show that I've done. And I always say, again, nothing against all the casts that I had done that I've been a swing on, but like these 5 guys together.
You just cherry pick all the best bits.
They were so magical. They were so great. And it made it so easy for Daniel and I to just steal everything. I mean, it was the great. That was heaven. And hell,
love that.
There was no hell. That was it.
I love that. I love that. And speak of the devil, let's bring him on. Daniel Torres, would you please show your face? Daniel! Daniel, tell us what you did with the Altar Boys, and tell us one of the things, a lyric, it could be a joke, it could be a dance move that still is rocking your world.
Oh my God, the dance move I do, like, I'm going to do a dance
Do
move.
it!
Yes,
Boy,
move
you
it.
could do this with me.
I can feel it coming. Yeah, it's the one.
Oh my God.
That's it, right? Look.
That was a Janet Jackson steal, I believe.
Yeah, it was like a little Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation, wasn't it?
Dance captain who was not a dancer. Yeah.
So tired already at that point in the show. So tired.
My song 2.
That's the second song.
Second song.
So
that was right around the time
right
David,
in the
I think,
beginning.
started marking. Like right around that.
If you saw in the comments, Chris Gattelli said I never marked.
Right.
I saw
How much
that.
did you pay him?
Yeah. I think I saw the show more times than he did.
Wow. I'll see you in a few minutes, Kev.
Oh, the whiffer.
Yeah,
He's pulling out the whiffer again. And listen, I wanted to make up a rumor that there was like old beef and litigation, and that's why Scott Porter was like, I'm out of here. My lawyers will be in touch. But really, it was just his computer and his internet. So please, welcome to the stream, Scott Porter.
What's up, everybody?
Oh, Scotty P. Hi, it's so nice to see you.
Yeah, I had to go downstairs and yell at the kids to get off Netflix. I was like, stop. I'm trying to do some work here. Daddy's got
You're
work.
like-
Stop watching Super Wings.
What are we going to do if we can't watch TV? Hey, listen, Scotty P, what is a lyric or a joke or a dance move that you just can't get out of your head from Altar Boys all these years later?
Oh, man, the dance move was when we would go back onto one hand and we would cross our legs and then cross them the other way and then split them wide open towards the audience. Thrusting. All of the thrusting.
Not about that one.
Scott, can you just demo that right now for us? Fantastic.
I don't know. Maybe.
This is so
Let's see. Let's see
dangerous.
if I can.
I was
let's see
just
if I
kidding,
can do
but
it.
I'm.
Let's see if I can do it. We would
Yeah.
go, and then to the other side. And
Something like.
I feel like we should be nominated for an Emmy for this reunion just for that, like 5 seconds.
I think we should
really
start
do.
a workout regimen based on Altar Boys.
I think
Around the
also-
arms. Okay, let's work those arms, everybody.
No. And as far as lines, don't ask, because there was a number of times throughout our run. There was one moment in the show, and I cannot remember it, surprise, surprise, where I would drop a line and look back at Andy, and Andy would go, "Lo, lo, lo, lo." And that's it. I would wait for Andy to catch me. I don't know. Andy caught me probably 3 or 4 times. I don't know. I did it over 1,000. Yeah, whatever.
Don't ask me to repeat any
I
lines
didn't know what I was doing when I came in. These guys were all just professionals. I had come straight from a theme park, and I had never done anything like this. So
That's right, Scott. Did Christopher Gattelli find you? I'm pulling this from deep inside my butt, but were you playing like Beetlejuice in a theme park show?
yeah, so I
Did
came
make
up
that
to
up?
New York. I was a beatboxer and
Oh, please
singer,
give us
like
a
doing
taste.
acapella
Go no
groups,
further. Stop. You had me at beatbox. Just a tiny taste.
So business.
Or I could do.
I almost said a
I could do-
swear.
got
A
it.
swear almost flew out of my lips
He has
when
a
you did
lot
that.
of different ones. He has
Yeah,
a
I could
whole
do-
Fredo is
catalog.
screaming.
I could do
Yes.
an electric guitar. I used to do the Star Spangled Banner at like sporting events, but imitating
Why are
electric
you
guitar.
talking about it? Why aren't you just doing it? Let's talk more rock.
Like weird stuff.
You are a freakosaurus. That is amazing. So you're just at a
Like
theme
Police
park. You're not
Academy.
employed by the theme park. You're just standing on a corner, like doing that. Christopher
Actually-
Gattelli spots you.
Yeah, I came up actually to New York. We did an off-Broadway show that was a cappella. It was like an a cappella version of, it was like Stomp, but with the human voice instead of using, props and stuff. And we did a run. We won a drama desk and won a Lucille Littell Award. We performed the drama desk between Hugh Jackman and P. Diddy when he was doing Raisin in the Sun.
Sure.
And
That's a hell of a
and we
sandwich
did that
right
run,
there.
and then I
Yes.
went back to Orlando, and I was the Wolfman and Frankenstein and the Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review, and I was singing in the Tarzan Rock show at Animal Kingdom.
Yes.
And a friend of mine, Jen McGill, she had done Mickey Mouse Club with Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears and everything, and she was up for a couple of shows. And Dave Caparelli-Otis, Chris Gattelli had been looking for me and told him, if you come across this guy's name. So Dave Cap gives me a call and he's like, "Hi, we've been looking for you. And your friend Jen McGill came in the room the other day. I saw that she was from Orlando. I figured I would just shot in the dark, ask her if she had your phone number. She did. And it was 2 days before Christmas. And there was like, would you want to fly up to New York for the final call for this show?" And they sent me everything that night.
Oh my.
And I learned it in a day, and I flew up. I didn't have headshots. I didn't have a book. I didn't know what sides were. I'd never done scene work really, except
You're
for
a
at the theme
natural,
park.
baby.
Well, I asked in the chat earlier to ask Robin Goodman, because I never have actually asked her this question. But in my audition, I was singing something about you. And I just walked up to the producer's table and I started stroking her hair as I'm singing in the room. And it's just something I would never do now or be allowed to do, right? If I walked into an audition and touched somebody now, they'd be like, he knows better. Yeah, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, not even the movement. It's just when you've been in the business for a while, people have certain expectations of you, of etiquette in a room and all those things. But all the stuff that surprised them about you when you didn't know what you were doing is like no longer allowed. So I walked right up to Robin, just got down on one knee and was like running my hands through her hair and like singing to her. And knowing Robin, after that for years, it was like, I could have lost a hand. That could have gone really wrong. But so I was just wondering, like, how did it almost blow it for me? Was I like a shoe in and then I almost didn't get it, or was like that the clincher? I don't know. But yeah,
Robin, if you're watching, throw it in the chat. Let us know. let us know. Was that sounds like a real crossroads for you, Scott?
Yeah. Somebody said in the chat, Pirate Scott. Kevin, do you remember Pirate Scott? I've got him over here. I'll bring him in a little bit.
Kevin, tell us more. Kevin, tell us, who is Pirate Scott?
Oh, I don't want to reveal any of these secrets. Listen,
what are we
Susan,
here
like we
for?
said, there's nothing, there's very little that we can talk about here.
I have to say, I've never been like the sporting type. Susan, you know this.
Yes.
But I have gotten the locker room experience with being in the Altar Boys. It was. Yeah.
This leads to a question. Okay. This actually leads to a question that I have, which is, what did Backstage at Altar Boys smell like? Did it smell like a locker room, or did it smell like a really expensive candle, or did it smell like the biggest bottle of CK1, or did it smell like just an endless fart? What did it smell like?
Naked boys singing. It smelled like naked boys singing. That's what it smelled like. And they were there before us and after us.
Yeah. We didn't have any time backstage to smell it up.
Yeah.
We never were back there. We just went to the dressing room, did the show, and then sweaty slid back into the dressing room.
Were you all on stage pretty much the whole time, except for just like a sip of water here and there?
No one could go backstage. It was also
I never left.
To get to the dressing room. It wasn't it like a hallway you had to walk all the way down and get?
Yeah.
You couldn't make it there and come back.
The genesis of the Altar Boys had a moment where most of us run off for a minute to put on something else, I think, but that's it.
As the elder statesman of the group, I did get to go and use the restroom once.
You did?
Because of your prostate. You needed to. You had to. It had to be built into the show.
When did you do that?
I don't remember, but I did it.
Did you really?
I did.
You had
there was one moment where everybody else would leave the stage and it would only be me on there. I never left the stage. I never even walked past the band.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and curse them as they were all back there. And if anybody's ever met me, like, I sweat sitting down. I'm just like a sweaty person. And I don't know how these guys put up with it. There's just water flinging everywhere. It's like if you sat in the front row, it was the
fans
splash
what
zone.
they want, though. The splash zone, the tarp zone. Yes, Tyler, aren't you a sweater? You're a sweater.
I'm a sweater, but we all were except David. He didn't try very. I'm kidding.
I had to wear this shirt.
We were
But
done
he never marked, but he never sweat either.
sweating through the second number. From then on, drenched. We're all drenched.
We have a rumor. We have a rumor coming in on the chat from MS. Andrew and Tyler used to pee in bottles off stage. True?
I did. I got in trouble because I did it in a Gatorade bottle, but it was only in emergencies. And then they got me the official pee canister off stage. No, only in true emergencies. But who
there was a story. There was a story about one of the band members peeing on his stool.
Yes,
I remember that.
It was not Shanky
during the show.
It was not. It was not Shanky.
Yeah.
During the show, this person, female or male, it was not Shanky though.
They never left the stage.
They never left the stage either.
Yeah.
And it was an emergency.
And the show must go on.
And this person was like,
it was tough.
This is just gonna have to happen. This is what
we always had weird stuff happening, like the fire alarm, and then we all had to leave and go upstairs. Then Sunil, who God rest his soul, who's wonderful our sound technician, was arrested 5 minutes before, and then we had to have a spotlight up, run the sound. At the drama desks, they were like, our song didn't start, and they were like, go. We're like, not again. That happened to us before. Our song didn't start. We're like, no, we're not going to stand out there like whatever. Like it was always something. Just yeah.
But the show must go on.
We made it work.
So who knows the next time we're going to have an Altar Boys reunion, what do we need to have recorded for posterity? What stories do we need to know? What do you need to tell us? What do you need to share? What do you need to get off your chest? Old beef? Anyone? Oh, Robin Goodman is here to weigh in.
Oh, I was going to say something about Robin, but then...
Robin, do you have a comment about the story that Scott just told us?
Scott,
This is gotcha journalism right here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not supposed to say this, but Scott, that got you the part right at the end there. I loved it.
Take chances, kids. Take chances.
Take chances. Because there's a producer there who gets turned on. That's Even if she's a lesbian, it doesn't
Even if she's a lesbian, kids. Even if she's a lesbian.
Even if.
Then you know
I feel like we've all really learned something tonight.
every one of you.
Love you, Robin.
Love you,
Robin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We learned Scott is a lesbian.
And we learned that Scott is a lesbian. I like that that's recorded for posterity. What else? What do we need to know about this pack of jokers? I hear that you all have been rocking a healthy text chain for the past few days, maybe in preparation for this. Any good reminiscences come up on that? What do we got?
Oh, man.
Boys?
I mean, there's a plenty, but I don't think any that's printable.
I feel like all of this, I feel like there's just like a very tight code of silence around the shenanigans.
I'll tell you honestly, it is. It's like, look, these are brothers. And it's like, it's funny because, you say that about casts, like, oh, we're a family and stuff. But like, I mean, these guys sweat all over each other for 90 minutes every day. And you really did have to have each other's backs, and it was more than just Scott. And believe me, when I would go on, and I won't speak for Daniel, but like I was always looking back, like, am I in the right spot? Like, is this the right part of the show? So it's like, and the same way with brothers, because if we've got a bunch of siblings, is that it's like the best, like they're the guys that tell you they'll call you on your stuff, like immediately. So it's great to have that, but it's like we love each other, and it's so much fun to see each other on the text thread again because we just pick up where we left off.
I love that. And I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to take a spin around the StreamYard, but I'm going to ask each of you to share the time that you either laughed the hardest, if it's a story that you can tell, or the memory that you cherish the most from your time doing the show. And I'm going to start with Andy Carl. Andy, you got something for me? The time you laughed the hardest, or a memory that you cherish?
I laughed hard. I laughed hard so many times, and it wasn't even really like, I can't even remember what it was. I just remember the camaraderie that we had. And just piggybacking off of what Kevin was saying, was like, there's very few times in, I guess, any project, but especially theater, and I've done plenty of shows, and there's very few times where you have a group of people that you feel like you would give your kidney for. You honestly loved being there and loved playing around with everybody. But yeah, I think that overall, because it was such like nightmarish experience, but so gratifying, the whiffer, anytime that you were pelted by the whiffer is a memorable experience. And we took it on the skin as hard as one could possibly.
It's like a frat house. Holy moly.
Now, hold on. So you need to understand that this show is the most physically daunting thing. Yeah. I played football in high school and college. I did 5 show days in an outdoor theater in Florida in a Wolfman costume. And it was like in 100-degree heat, 99% humidity, and nothing matched how drained we were. And we were all way younger than we are now. And we would do that off-Broadway schedule where we were off Wednesdays and we would do 6-show weekends. So we would do Friday night, 2 show Saturdays, 2 show Sunday, a Monday show, and then we'd have to push through to Tuesday. So the whiffer starts coming out around Monday night, especially is out on Tuesday night. It's just to get your adrenaline going.
Yeah.
It's just to have you stop, like, because we were, you know, we would start complaining and go, how fortunate are we to be in this brilliant show with this amazing brotherhood? Like, there was never a spat. I don't remember a single time that anybody went at anybody in our cast. I don't know how or why we were together that long, but I feel like we felt at first like it was us against the world. And we knew that we had something special and we were just fighting for that. And then, you know, I don't think any of us knew that this thing would go for 5 years and all of those shows. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for everybody else, but it was my first time. And I was like, this is special, but I don't know what flies up here. I don't know what's going to happen. And I think we just,
I'm practically making out with the producers in the audition. I don't know. I'm just a simple guy.
Some of us were 35 years old and had a 1-week-old child. And so we had to beat each other with it just to get our energy up.
David, is that true?
Oh, yeah. Well, Kevin's daughter
I had my
was born.
I had my third little baby then.
He had his third, and I had mine, literally, I think mine was a 1-week-old when we first started rehearsals.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask one question of the boys? I believe it was me who started this, but is that true? Because I'm also 50 now, so I don't remember. Did I start the whiffer, or who started the whiffer?
I recall that it was you.
Answer the question.
It was you, and it was the end. It was when someone was like having a final show. That's when it was really celebratory, and everybody would get a whack on the bare butt, and you get it hard. And the goal was to draw blood. That was the goal.
Draw blood.
we had
Scott. There are pictures somewhere.
We had the lesser Whistler. We would keep Twizzlers down there.
Whistler.
And you could just hit with the Whistler instead of the whiffer.
And Scott brought in plastic nunchucks once.
Yeah.
No.
You brought those in and we were hit. I never got hit except for my last show. I think I was under the radar till I left and Scott hit me the last night. Otherwise, I would just kind of laugh and pretend I did. I
think we've gone off the rails from Susan.
That's okay. This is what I want. I want
point.
barely organized chaos.
My
This is exactly what I want.
My favorite story was when, listen, you don't usually have kids in an audience, and Kevin went on, and his youngest, Gus, at the time, was in the crowd, and he would just guffaw anytime his daddy did anything. And it was like the greatest show, because was it a matinee? It was a matinee, right? Sunday matinee, Kev?
The first time I went on though was for you.
Netflix.
So it was
okay. It was when you went on for a different role, but
but I'm sure, And Gus,
it was
by
like
the way,
a Sunday matinee, and those crowds are usually so quiet. And as soon as Kevin said his first words, Gus just guffawed, and and it was like Stafford was saying earlier, it was like the whole crowd was like, "Oh, I guess we're in this too. Let's go!" And it was like the greatest matinee we ever had. Like as far as matinee
sophomore in
crowd.
college now, by the way.
He's in college.
Sophomore in college.
I know. I saw that picture you posted.
Was one of you more prone to breaking on stage? And the flip of the coin is, were there members of this cast who were really good at making people laugh? Or were you just professional 24/7?
This is first rate work.
Will you please tell that story, Tyler Maynard?
Well, I had a line. You know, you go on for a couple of months, Stafford and everybody leaves. And I had a line in the Genesis where I picked the sheet music up and I said, "This is first-rate work," to Abe.
Yes.
But one day I said, I put in 3 dots, and this is first-rate work.
How'd that go over? Did your stage manager give you a note on that one?
Yes. Sosno, I believe, did.
Sosno.
We were good, though. There was an allowance for some in that show. And the more we did that to each other, but to a certain extent. But yeah, we all broke and we all made each other break. I don't know if it was intentional.
Wasn't it, Whiffer? Okay,
Maybe.
this is a good question that came in from Heidi. Any horror stories about bringing a stranger on stage for something about you?
Wait, I have a story about that because then I told Joburg this today. My first time ever on was for Scott. And so there was during the first time I'd ever been on, there was a fire alarm went off. So then we all had to go outside. And then when we all came back in, I guess like a homeless guy came in with us. And so then I went to grab the girl. And first I went to grab a girl that was on crutches with a giant leg brace. And I was like, oh, sorry. And then I'm still singing. I went, okay, you. And it's a homeless guy asleep in the aisle sort of. And I was like, oh wait, that's not good. One last person. And I took this old lady that could barely get up the stairs. And I'm like, I don't care. You're coming with me.
Off Broadway.
First of all, I question the security at the Oldie Dodger stages. That's questionable that there's a homeless person sleeping in the theater. But I love that you were just 3 strikes, old lady, you're coming with me.
You're coming with me no matter what.
There was a girl that Scott pulled up that he said, "What's your name, baby?" And she said, "I am Norway," and jumped off the stage. I am Norway. And jumped off.
She wasn't from the States.
Right.
She didn't speak the language. She wasn't sure what was going on. He just said, "Yeah, I am Norway."
And left like a gazelle. And he went after her, and they kept vamping, and he went after her up the aisle. That was not her aisle she came from. She just decided to.
Listen, I worked in theme parks. When you work at theme parks, you don't allow them to say no. So yeah, I chased her down. I was after her in a heartbeat. You're coming back here.
Oh my God.
Not from here.
Oh, I love all of you so much. I want to sit here with you all night, but I also want people to remember that tonight isn't just a celebration of these yahoos and their whiffers. It's also a chance to support the Actors Fund. The Actors Fund serves all entertainment professionals, not just actors. It's people in film, in theater, in television, in music, in opera, in radio, and dance through programs that address the community's unique and essential needs. And I want to tell you, I personally I'm in the middle of taking a class at the Actors Fund right now, and I want to shout out to my Becoming an Entrepreneur classmates. Holla! But you can go to theactorsfund.org/altarboys with a Z to support that awesome cause, and we hope you will.
Yes, please.
And
amen. Amen.
Yes, please.
Yes,
amen.
yes,
Amen. 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 And in thank you. And thank you. And thanks for your support. We have got the nummiest surprise for all of you. Some of you have made something for all of the Altarholics who love you. Scott, will you tell the folks what you have made?
Yeah, there's this beautiful song. Is that what we're doing right now?
That's what we're doing right now, Scott. Run a
there's
show.
This beautiful song called "Leading the Way" that Gary Adler had done, and after Hurricane Katrina, when we were trying to raise money, he had written it for Altar Boys, but it never fit anywhere. And all of a sudden, they had a eureka moment where this is perfect for right now, for everyone going down there, trying to help, putting their life on the line and getting out there and trying to rebuild homes and trying to find, reunite families. And we're going to sing this song, and all the money that we can raise after the show, much like we would do for Broadway Cares and stuff, where we do the drive after the show, we would come out after we were done and we would speak to the crowd and ask them to give what they could, and we would sing this song. And up until now, the only time anybody ever heard that was in that small run of shows. So we recorded every swing, whoever was in the show, and myself and the OG Matthew Cheyenne Jackson sang a little bit. So it's a song called "Leading the Way," and I guess that's that.
I love that so much. Yes, you made the video we're about to see. And also, if you all haven't checked it out, you should really check out that I Believe video featuring all of these Altar Boys and just a cornucopia of Altar Boys. They just keep shaking the cornucopia on that video, and Altar Boys keep falling out. All right, we're going to check out this beautiful gift that you have made for us in just a moment. But before we do, on behalf of all of us who are enjoying this moment with you, I just want to thank you, OG ABs, and the Altar Boys team for joining us. You have all brought us so much. Yes, hit me with the beat. Hit me with that sweet beat while I talk you out. You have all brought us so much weird ass joy. And we're so grateful for all of it. And we want to thank the Actors Fund. You have led the way even in the darkest hour of the day. And now, it is please never stop, never, ever, ever stop. It is my insane pleasure to present the world this premiere of the video, Leading the Way. And thank you. Thank you to the Actors Fund, and thank you to all of you for donating. Visit altarboysreunion.com to watch the full video. Watch, enjoy. Thank you so much, Altar Boys.
Is this it? Do we talk to you after this, or are we saying goodnight?
Yeah,
just a second. We're gonna say goodnight. We're gonna say goodnight.
I wanted to, on behalf of all of us, there's a lot of Altarholics in the chat right now. There's a lot of people who showed up tonight. So many years after we did this show, I want you to know like how much of an impact you had on all of our lives. I still have the Build-A-Bear Matthew that was given to me for my last show. I keep all of those memories and keep all of you so near and dear to my heart. So it wasn't only a brotherhood amongst the cast, but it was a real family with everybody that came and made Altar Boys a success. The creative team and the actors on stage did part of it, but they did it the rest of it. They pulled us the rest of the way, all the way through 5 years. So thank you all so much.
Oh my gosh.
No show without the fans.
Write the sequel. Write the sequel. Ultimate. So I can
Altar
work.
Boys.
Altar Boys grown up.
Thank you so much, all of you. I love you so much. You have made my pandemic. This is it. It's great.
Title of Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you.
We are the Altar Boys. You know we're coming to your town. We are the Altar Boys. We're gonna knock the devil down. We are the Altar Boys. We're going to sing for you today. We are the Altar